Hello, my lovely people. We are back at it. The Big Brown Breakdown. And I was thinking about it as I was coming in today. That's 4 shows this week. We grinding, people. We grinding. This is the advantage of having our own studio. Pretty cool, right? I think we know what we're doing when it comes to this stuff. I wasn't allowed to do this at my former employer. And look at us now. So great, grand, wonderful. Today's episode of the Big Brown Breakdown. It is Thursday, December 15th. Is that right?
I don't even remember what date it is anymore.
Let me check.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
15th. God
dang. CT what? CT what? It's December 15th because I remembered the date. It's December 15th. As you guys are listening to this is a breakdown of UFC Fight Night on Fox, and we will get to that. And then after that, we have one of my faves, Tito Ortiz, is in studio. He sits down with us and talks about basically, he's at the end of his career. This is his last huge fight with Chael Sonnen, January 21st at the Forum live on Spike TV. And I'm excited about it. I really am. I give those guys a little bit of trash talk as far as them being a little older, but it is a fun fight nonetheless. I'm sure most of the fans, and even you don't even have to be hardcore, will tune in to watch Tito and Chael fight for free on Spike TV January 21st. So when Spike and Bellator asked me if I would do something for them, I didn't even hesitate. I love both those guys, and it's a little weird because both those guys are my friends. I don't know. I'm close with Chael. Chael's a really good friend of mine. And Tito, as you guys will hear in the interview, he was a hero of mine growing up. So, and he's also a buddy and former training partner. So this is a tough one, but I'm proud of both guys, and it will be a fun fight. And so Tito will be on the tail end of this podcast of the Big Brown Breakdown. Speaking of the Big Brown Breakdown, I don't like the name of it. I don't like the name. Big Brown, Brian gave me that name. Brian, I can't remember last time he referred to me that. I'm not fighting anymore. No one calls me Big Brown. Some people, on the street, like Big Brown or whatever, but I'm thinking about changing the name. What do you think of that? And fans, help me out here if you guys think of a cool name. I don't know. I'm just sick of the Big Brown Breakdown.
You're Big Brown in my phone.
Sorry, man. Well, you can still call me Big Brown. I just think for the show, maybe we call it like, I don't know, the Shobcast or something like that.
Shobcast.
Or what do I always say? 100% with Brendan Schaub or something like that. 100% with Shobcast. For sure with Brendan Schaub, something like that.
My man.
I do say my man a lot. I don't know, but I'd like something else. I know a Big Brown Breakdown rolls off the tongue. I don't know. I was thinking about it today. I'm like, I don't really like that. I don't know. Is that weird? Is it? You think it's cool to change it?
The thing is, they gave it to you, right? People gave you that nickname.
Brian Callen gave him that nickname,
and people just
stampeded
on it. Yeah, I mean they ran with it.
Well, you know what? I'll let the fans decide. If you guys love Big Brown Breakdown, I'll keep it. I think Shobcast or I don't know. I'm trying to think. It just hit me right now. Usually I have something ready for you guys, but not right now. I'll think about it tonight. You guys think about it. Hit me up in my DMs or comment on the this episode at the comments what you think is the best name for it. The Big Brown Breakdown. I don't know. It could be a section of the show, but I don't know if you can call a full show the Big Brown Breakdown. Either way, I love doing these. For some reason, I have this new fire inside me to get back to getting balls deep into MMA, especially once a week.
Yeah.
With Brian, Brian knows he's fighting. Don't get me wrong, but he can go off on tangents and stuff like that. So I figured, I'm just going to do it myself. And he's also gone a lot of the time. So this gives me a reason to, even more so, to do it myself. And I think it'd be fun. Like today we have Tito Ortiz stopping in. Granted, he's not going to break down the fights with me, but we're going to interview with Tito Ortiz. And I have other guys who are interested. Alan Joban, who's fighting. We had a bunch of guys reach out to me that want to be part of it. So could be fun. Could be a lot of fun. What else is going on besides the fight world? Find the Kid, busy week. We had the one with Frank Mir and his boy from Phone Booth Fighting with Richard Hunter, which was a fun show. And the Finally Kid, our next live tour is January 18th, 19th in Vancouver. So we just had a show in Vancouver. And then we have a show in Seattle and Portland. That's all we have lined up right now. And then I have some Canada news in the works. We're trying to finalize those deals. San Francisco, we just signed a deal. Sacramento maybe is in on that. And there's a chance we do Long Beach as well. So a lot of moving pieces. And we have a whole East Coast tour coming up. But as far as my stand-up goes, it got really busy. I just got blown up. I just committed to, I think, 3 or 4 shows next week before Christmas. One after Christmas on the 27th. But all at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and then I'll be blasting that guys out. So, and we released our new shirts, Finally Kid Army tees, the Abbott Kinney sweatshirts sold out, the hoodies, the vintage sweatshirts are still available. Some of the Finally Kid Army shirts are still available. I ordered more than ever. We did our biggest order ever because the holidays, I knew you guys would be eating these things up. And, not that we ordered 20,000 of them, but we ordered enough where people can't complain if they sold out fast because we ordered the most we've ever ordered out of any shirt. So there should be still some as you listen to the show on Thursday at 1:30 in the afternoon. As I'm saying this, there should be some, tfatk.com. All right, let's jump into I want to say what'd you say? Breaking, I wouldn't say breaking news, but
Maybe.
fight news. Let's call it fight news.
Breaking fight news?
Fight news. Fight news with Chin. It's fight news. Chin decides what I'll talk about. Fight news. What do you got, brother?
This one just came out. Did you hear that Brock Lesnar finally got his actual suspension?
What'd they give him?
They gave him 1 year.
Life?
No. 1 year, but his win from Hunt is overturned to a no contest now, too.
What's his fine? It says in a hefty fine.
It's like $250,000.
Well, here's my thing. That $250,000 goes to the state of Nevada commission. Why in the world wouldn't that 10% of his $2.5 million that he made, why wouldn't that $250,000 go to Mark Hunt?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't half of that $2.5 million go to Mark Hunt? We knew the guy was on shit. You still let the guy fight. Mark Hunt even said he was on stuff. Then obviously we see how that fight goes down. Who's paying the penalty here? Brock, $2.5 million. So Brock still made $2.25 million.
Holy crap.
It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Because and I'm adding in sponsors that. Obviously, I know $250,000. Yeah. So he was sponsored, and remember that's his disclosed purse. You remember the pay-per-view numbers. So if I told you you're gonna make, let's say he made 7. All right, let's say low estimates, which would be his lowest payday in the UFC, which I heard he got paid the most of any fighter of all time, maybe prior to Conor McGregor, but to come and fight this fight. So let's say he made $10 million.
Yeah.
If someone said, "Hey man, Chin, will you take this fight? I'll pay you $10 million," and you're like, "Dude, I'm juiced to the gills." Like, we get that. Just take the fight so we can sell the pay-per-views because we need it because we're about to sell the company for $4 billion. We got to show we're still a draw. All they're going to do is spend you a year. Everyone assumes you're on shit anyways because you're playing grab ass in the WWE. They're going to find you $250,000. Good chance we'll even throw that into your purse so it doesn't affect you at all. Would you take the fight?
Absolutely.
You bet your sweet ass. This does nothing. 1 year. How about a 1 year suspension? A 1 year suspension. The guy's juiced to the gills. I'm a Lesnar fan too. You can't hate on Lesnar. The guy who gets screwed out of all this, his name is Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
Mark Hunt should he should be he should get that $250,000 fine and more. He should get half of Brock Lesnar's pay. Because think about the physical damage that he encountered during this fight, that he's under the impression everything's all good. But then Brock Lesnar doesn't have to do the testing everyone else did. Oh, no. We just found out he was fighting. Weird, man. Very strange because they called Mark Hunt months before that and asked him if he would be ready to fight on that day for a certain reason. It's just shady, man. It's just super shady. And I'm glad Brock got his money. I'm glad the UFC did well pay-per-view numbers and it helped them with the sale of WME. But The one guy we're forgetting about, and he's so upset and doesn't have a voice, is Mark Hunt.
Do you think that he gets any kind of like solace from the fact that the fight was overturned into a no contest for Hunt?
No.
So he's still, no matter what, really pissed off.
Furious.
Really,
and that's why he won't fight. Because he's like, you guys got to make this right. How hard is it to make it right? How hard is it? Like, dude, we get it. We made a shitload of money putting Brock on the card. You did take the fight. You did make sure that the fight was still on, even though you thought all this stuff. Here's $1 million. What's $1 million? You're worth $4 billion. What's $1 million of a warrior like Mark Hunt? I don't understand it, man. Yep. It's just bad business. Because now you have Mark Hunt, who's the face of New Zealand, going, dude, this is what happened to me, and I'm Mark Hunt. What are they going to do to you? It's just bad business. It's going to end up catching up with you. I'm telling you, man, that $1 million is going to turn into a huge ripple effect. It's like a little pebble. It's a little crack in the Titanic.
It seems like it's already starting too. Yeah.
And then your shit sinked and everyone jumped off. The UFC is the Titanic right now, and they're hitting these little glaciers, and they're like, who cares about Mark Hunt? Who cares about Cyborg? Who cares about this? I'm telling you, man. And now you're dealing with WME. What else you got, brother? I could go on all day about that.
Chatty Cathy.
Mm-hmm. Shit, I might call it the Chatty Cathy podcast.
Did you hear Chael Sonnen's podcast?
I did not.
So in between he was talking about another person, and then suddenly he paused and said something that made it seem as though he knew who the person they're offering the commentator job,
to take over for Goldberg,
if they do replace Goldberg.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's supposed to be Jim Rome. And I got the audio clip if you want to hear it, just that little section.
Will we get taken down off YouTube?
I have no idea.
Well, let me hear it, and then I'll repeat to the listeners so we can get yanked off YouTube. Because we don't want planet Earth crying because I showed
you know what?
Because I showed a lizard running from snakes.
Let's just go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Is Jim Rome going to join Joe Rogan? Is he going to take that offer? Did I just say something that is not public? Let's move on. Let me tell you this. Chael's a very calculated guy.
Yeah.
This gives Chael ratings on his podcast. This was not a mistake. This was not a slip. Chael is very, very smart. And remember, his podcast is not live. His podcast, he can edit. Okay?
There you go.
Brilliant move by Chael Sonnen. Now, Jim Rome, I'm a huge fan of Jim Rome. I love Jim Rome. And WME should realize this, and Dana White should probably learn from this. We see it all the time. Imitation is the biggest form of flattery, So how many people have we seen? Comedian fighter. It'll be a hit. Look at Fighting the Kid. It has nothing to do with being a comedian or a fighter.
Yeah.
It's the chemistry of two best friends where we would talk about this shit anyways. It just so happens we both like to entertain. We have this crazy dynamic, and it works. We've seen so many people try the fighter and a comedian. When I'm around other comedians, I go, dude, everyone goes, yeah, just link up with a fighter. Look what it did for Brian Callen. And I'm like, oh my God, that hurts my soul. I was talking to Bert Kreischer about this. He goes, yeah, I guess someone who worked with you on one of the sets was saying, yeah, dude, just get a fighter like Brian did with Schaub. And he's like, do you realize what Schaub does? Like, you're discrediting what exactly Schaub is about. He's going up. He was like, he's doing stand-up tonight. He's the one that does the show. Like Brian's Brian. Brian comes in, but there's no show, So, again, with this, sorry for that weird talk, but for this, does Jim Rome and Joe Rogan get along? Because from what I can tell, Jim Rome's very upfront. How knowledgeable is he on MMA? Hearing his interviews, and I'm a huge Jim Rome fan, but you need a guy who knows the game, who's passionate about the game, likes the game. It's no different than Mike Goldberg going to the NFL and doing commentary. How'd that work out? That was a fucking nightmare. A nightmare. So, granted, I'm sure they'll try and get him up to date and stuff like that. But again, is there chemistry before he's even announced? Is there chemistry between Jim Rome and Joe Rogan? If there's not, you do not have somebody. I'd rather you hire a no-name guy with chemistry for Joe and have them work together. Because there's one guy they cannot do without, and his name is Joe Rogan. I can do without Jim Rome. I can do without any other commentator list. No disrespect to any of those guys. A lot of them are my friends, and I love those guys. I've worked with those guys. I love them all. They're brilliant at their job. Every one of them's replaceable, and we don't bat an eye. One guy isn't. His name's Joe Rogan, and you better pray to God that if you bring in a guy like Jim Rome, him and Joe Rogan can play off each other. Because what doesn't mix is Siamese fish, and that would be two alpha males. Jim Rome to me comes off as an outspoken alpha male. I'm not saying Mike Goldberg wasn't an alpha male, but what he was stocked into Karl Malone. He was the guy who would set Joe up, and Joe would set him up, and they play this volley back and forth. Well, if both guys have this testosterone and they want to make a name for them and get, make a point, you don't have a show. And we've seen it on podcasting. God, have we seen it, and it's failed miserably. And we've seen it on other commentating jobs, and we've seen it on TV. We've seen it in movies. There has to be chemistry in order to make this thing work. Entertainment 101. Shows don't work. Shows work because of chemistry. How many actors or how many TV shows go, we actually care about each other?
Yeah.
Or how many bands break up because there's no chemistry? They're just there to play the song, and then they go, fuck this. They get famous, get money, go, I'm out. So, and I'm not saying Jim Rome and Joe Rogan don't. I'm just saying that's numero uno. Before I would even mention Jim Rome, I would have Jim and Joe speak and see how that goes. And I'll talk to Joe after this about it, see what he thinks. But maybe they have talked.
I can't imagine them together.
Maybe I'm just firing off from the ass. Maybe they have talked, and him and Joe are long lost buddies, and they've grown up in Boston together or some shit. I haven't seen him on Joe's podcast though, and he has all his buddies on there. So that's kind of, who knows? Mm-hmm. Again, I'm a Jim Rome fan though, so I want it to work out. I actually respect the guy very, very much. You ever seen the clip? I forget the quarterback, Jim Everett.
Yes.
You see that? And he goes, call me that one more time. And he does it, and Jim Everett slaps the fuck out of him out of the chair.
He called her Chris or something, right? Chris Everett?
I think Chris Everett. And he goes, call me Chris again. He goes, yeah. All right, Chris. And then he gets up and slaps the shit out of him. He falls over the thing. Classic. I've always been a Jim Rome fan. I love his show on Showtime. What else you got, brother? That's a good one. Chael didn't do that mistake. Chael's in show business.
I believe you. This one's crazy. So Floyd Mayweather, 16 hours ago, posted a Instagram where he got like a little video montage of Conor McGregor getting beat up by
his one
Nate
loss.
Diaz. Yeah.
Sorry,
and then,
his second loss.
Or second loss? Oh yeah,
he lost before to outside the UFC. Doesn't really.
So he had this thing on his Instagram. It's already got 2.4 million views, and he's asking the fans to caption it, and the best caption wins $10,000.
Game on. That's how you know it's real. Floyd wants this fight. Otherwise, why would he even partake in this trash talk and $10,000? That's an investment, son. He wants this fight. Yeah. And then he said, I'm going to slap Conor when I see him. You're not going to do shit, first of all. But what's weird to me, it has 2.4 million views, which is hilarious. And obviously, this just sparks the interest of the fight. Yep. I want to see the fight. I think it'd be the biggest pay-per-view of all time, not even close. These two worlds finally mix with our biggest star of all time, boxing's biggest pay-per-view draw of all time. And people forget Conor's a lot bigger than Floyd, so it's not a walk in the park for him. It's not. If Conor connects, there's a legit shot he can win that fight. And how big does his... Imagine if Conor knocked out Floyd Mayweather.
Man.
He'd have to move to Mars.
He'd
be the first human who's too big for this world. He's just like, I'm going to Mars, starting a new fucking breed. I'm out, man. That'd be insane. I think it's the play. I think it's the play. I think defending his belt at 55 against Nate Diaz is his only fight left in the UFC anyone really cares about, to be honest with you, and it's personal for him. I think that's the fight, and then he fights Floyd Mayweather. That's the only two fights I see left in his career, to be honest with you guys. Not Khabib, not Tony Ferguson. Those guys are not a draw. No disrespect to them. It's just the way it works. They just don't have that it factor when it comes to the entertainment part of this game. But Floyd Mayweather, I saw the video. So you're a boxer and you post a video of Conor getting choked out by a rear naked choke. All right. Okay. Do you want to show the time he got, what do you want to do? It's not your world. Like, you know how fast Nate Diaz would choke you out? You know how fast Conor McGregor looked like Chrome Gracie if they decided to roll. You know what I'm saying? If those two rolled. What are you talking about? So showing that, I understand he says giving up, that well, that's part of the sport. You know, he fought a bigger guy. It's not that way. You know what I'd do?
What's up?
I'd make it real personal. If I was Conor, I'd tweet out a video of all his exes that he hit in the face. Too much?
Maybe.
And I'd say, shout out to Floyd Mayweather. He is undefeated, but they only show 49-0. Really, he's 54-0. Check out the women's division too. Something like that. Like, did you guys know? That's what I would do. I'd say, did you know Floyd's actually 53-0? Because he's undefeated against all these women, and show the mugshots of Floyd and put, here's $20,000 who comes up with the best caption. Checkmate. What else you got, brother?
You want some upcoming fight news?
I mean, there's been a lot of matchups made, right?
Yeah. So check out what's on the screen there. Vitor Belfort versus Kevin Gastelum. How do you
That's
like
a
that
fun
one?
fight. That's a huge fight for Kelvin. Obviously, they're investing in Kelvin now, especially at 185, because he looked amazing against Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy getting, let's be honest, he got beat up against Kelvin, and then he missed weight in New York, so he was on the bad graces of the UFC brass. Mm-hmm. Then he goes and beats up the guy who's the face of the association. So I think this is a reward to him, and they see star quality in him. Kelvin at 85, I can't doubt the guy. I just can't. It's a great fight for him. How Vitor's still fighting, I have no idea. He's a huge name. He's dangerous in those first 2 minutes. If Kelvin can survive that, he's gonna starch him. Jacare, Musasi. Granted, he head kicked Dan Henderson. That was in Brazil, correct? Is this fight in Brazil?
I don't know.
I think so. Pretty sure it's in Brazil. Except for UFC Fight Night 107. Because if
Combate reported it, so it's got to be Brazil.
Well, that's not fun for Gastelum. Who knows? Well, it's still USADA testing.
Oh, crap, yeah, Brazil. I didn't.
It's in Brazil. I fought there, and it's a different game. Yeah. That's tough. And then Dariush is a fun one. Dariush versus granted Dariush is lost. I think he's lost 2, but Dariush versus Barboza is a super fun fight. Really, really fun fight. Yeah. Both so technical. I would give Dariush the advantage on the ground. Both those are really, really fun fights. What else you got, brother?
Cowboy. He's fighting Masvidal in Denver.
He got a fight. He asked, and asking you shall receive. Masvidal's ranked what, 11, 12? Or is he higher than that?
I don't know his ranking.
Scroll down. So these two have been wanting to fight each other for a while. Really, Masvidal wanted to fight him. And then Masvidal is confirmed, and the headliners Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena. That's interesting. I like. It's a fun fight. It's a risk for Cowboy because Masvidal's not ranked that high. But again, I don't think Cowboy really cares. He just wants to fight. So, yeah, Masvidal beat Pearson. Then he beat Ellenberger. He lost to Lorenzo. He lost to Ben Henderson. Masvidal's a tough customer, to say the least.
It's fun to watch.
People forget he was a Miami bare knuckle fighter, Kimbo style.
I saw his videos.
That's how he came up.
Yeah, way back in the day. He had long hair.
And he can wrestle.
Yep.
And he has jiu-jitsu. And he has great movement. And he's as game as anyone. That's a tough fight for Cowboy. It's a good fight because I think it's the necessary step for Cowboy to see if 170 is his weight class, because he really hasn't beat anyone that phenomenal at 70. Let's be honest, guys. He's beat better people at 55. Granted, he just got to 70. But if he starches this guy, because all right, so he beat Cote, right?
Yep. Cote was actually doing well too.
Yeah, but Cote he's on. If this is golf, he's on the 17th hole, son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then Rick Story hasn't found a while. Perfect setup for Cowboy because he's a guy who doesn't have great stand up, so he gets head kicked. Matt Brown lost the last 6 out of 7, 5 out of 6, but we know who he is, gets head kicked. So Cowboy's just starching people at 170. And I thought he looked better against Rick Story and Patrick Cote than he did Matt Brown. I thought Matt Brown was doing pretty well. I had it 1-1 actually going to that third round. So I like this fight for Cowboy. It's not too much too soon. He's not fighting a top 3 guy, which, sometimes they've been known to throw those guys to the hounds for that. And remember, this fight's in Denver. This fight's in Denver, which is a little scary for me. It's a lot of pressure on Cowboy to fight in your hometown. It's way different fighting your hometown than it is fighting anywhere else. Fighting your hometown, your mom, your dad, your cousin you haven't spoke to in 6 years, this sponsor who was one of your first sponsors when you fought in Ring of Fire, want to jump into whatever your family's doing. Maybe you don't stay at the Fighters Hotel. When you do, it feels weird. It's a different animal fighting at home. Some guys thrive in it. Some guys can add pressure too. For me, it always added more pressure. I didn't like it.
Did all your family and friends show up for your fights?
Every single one. I fought the only fight. Well, I had my, when I was coming up, I had most of my fights in Denver. When I say most, I say 3. And then my first real fight, because I don't count the Ultimate Fighter as my first real fight, because it's still part of the Ultimate Fighter. Granted, I won 3 fights on the show, so I went 3-1. Which why those don't get added to your record is weird, because I can interview guys if you want that remember getting punched in the face and choked out by me. But anyways, my first fight there was against Chase Gormley on I think it was Fuel TV. And I beat him in 57 seconds, something like that. But most magical night ever for me. But there's a lot of pressure in that fight because I knew everyone from my high school, and it was in Broomfield Event Center where I fought before, so that was cool. But University of Colorado is right up the road, 20 minutes. Went to school there, played football there. Aurora, Colorado's 30 minutes down the other way. Went to high school there, born and raised there. So you have this perfect storm. And remember, I was like, one of the first fights of the night, stadium's packed, though. They're there to see the hometown kid. Yeah. It's a special, special night for me, man. But it was a lot of pressure. Different animal. I don't like more pressure on Cowboy. I don't. I just don't. Yeah. But Cowboy took it for a reason, and I think Cowboy gets it done, but that's a tough fight. Not as easy as people think. Maybe people don't think it's easy, but I definitely don't. What else you got?
I had something on Arlovsky. He's going to be fighting Ngannou coming up.
In Denver, correct?
Yeah. Same card.
Yeah. He's fighting Francis in Denver. Arlovsky versus Francis on a 4-fight win streak. Looks like juggernaut. Yeah. He's stronger than God.
Oh, he's on a crazy streak right now.
He's on a crazy streak, but who's he beat? I always say this. I always say this, man. Yeah. It's like, let's relax on crazy streak, because if Arlovsky fought those guys, it wouldn't have lasted that long. Mm-hmm. So his first fight in the UFC, Louis Henrique, KO punch, second round, whatever. Curtis Blades.
Curtis Blades.
Dr. Stoppage. Bohan, TKO punches first round. Anthony Hamilton, submission. Anthony's a tough customer, but he's none of those guys are gonna have money in the bank or a career when this is all said and done. So, he's won 4 in a row, but they're building him up the right way. If that's what I don't know how old this gentleman is, but they're building him up the right way. Oh, he's born in that's Arlovsky. And then Arlovsky, let's see, Hamilton. How old is French? 86. So he's 30.
Yeah, 32.
Perfect. He's in the prime of his career. He hasn't been tested though in the UFC. It's a different animal. But he's fighting an older Arlovsky. Yeah, he's fighting a way older Arlovsky, different Arlovsky, and Arlovsky's coming off his loss to Josh Barnett. Correct.
Let me check this out.
Here we go. It's 3 straight. So Stipe, the champ, no shame in that. Alistair Overeem, okay, the tough one. And then Josh Barnett, rear naked choke. And then Frank Mir, that Travis Brown fight was crazy. Antonio Silva, Brendan Schaub split decision. Didn't win that one. Just kidding, I'm over it. Not really. My soul hurts. Again, I've talked about this. Everyone has their runs. Everyone has had their runs. Arlovsky won when he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. 6 in a row. He's lost 3 in a row. And then before that, and that wasn't even a run for him, really. Before that, stop right there. This is his run. I talk about runs all the time. His run really was, and Arlovsky started off, I want to say he lost his first fight. He got knocked out. Then he wins 4, not beating anyone, doesn't matter. And then, let's see, loses to Pedro Izzo. He's salty record of 4-3. And then here's the vintage Andre Arlovsky when he went Ian Freeman, Matashenko, Wesley Carrera, also known as Cabbage Patch, Tim Sylvia for the championship belt, Justin Eilers, remember that? TKO punch, Paul Buentello. And then he's in a super heyday and he's just dealing with a fucking monster. And people forget how. So his run is this. This is his run. So that's 2000. Let's see, go down. So his run is from 2002, go up to 2008. That's a hell of a run. And granted, there's some losses in there, but it's 2 to Tim Sylvia. And then remember that Fedor fight where he's piecing him up. But look at this. After Tim Sylvia, so fought him, Cruz, beat Verdum, beat Jake O'Brien, beat Ben Rothwell, beat Roy Nelson, which was suspect, but beat Roy Nelson, then loses to Fedor, and then it's a rough spell after that. He's in Strikeforce, and remember he had that whole weird thing going on where he's working with Freddie Roach, and he's like standing tall on his feet, so it looks like his career's over because he's got knocked out in all those fights, except for the Antonio Silva. He goes to decision, and then he goes on a little bit of run. So he has these runs, man. But really, that 2002 to 2008 was prime. And then you go, well, he had that run in the UFC, you know. So on his first fight back, he beats me. Not really, let's be honest. It's a shit fight. No one won. You know who lost that fight? The fans. Both of us lost that fight and the fans. And then he knocks out Antonio Silva. Then he knocks out Travis Brown. Decision with Frank Mir. Now he's lost 3. So that's heavyweights, man. Last thing to go is power. So he can keep fighting. He's one of my favorites. I fucking love that guy. I used to have a Pitbull shirt, training partner. Obviously went to a dance with him.
A dance?
The UFC. We danced together inside that octagon. A magical night. We went to dance together. Went to the fucking prom together, as I like to call it. And that prom is a cold bitch.
Yeah.
And I got half my pay. I didn't get laid that night. If I'm, you know. Yeah, man.
So heavyweights can actually get maybe a little bit more runs than the average
because
fighter.
power's the last thing to go. Yeah. And for heavyweights, it's everything. And that's why you see like look at the way when he fought Antonio Silva. So when he fought me, very tentative, right? Neither man really committed. I took him down. He never took me down. No one committed. There's no knockouts. You both have to play that game if you want to get a finish. Neither one of us want to play that game. We're training partners, pretty hesitant on each other. Whatever, terrible fight. Antonio Silva wants to play the game, gets knocked the fuck out. Travis Brown, they both want to play the game.
Yep.
Knocked the fuck out.
Great.
Frank Mir doesn't want to play the game. He doesn't want to play the game. You know what? That fight was worse than my fight with him. Let's be real, people. I love both those guys. Stipe Miocic wants to play the game. Knockout. Alistair Overeem wants to play the game. Knockout. Josh Barnett, they really didn't want to play the game. Josh wanted to get him down, wear him out, and that's what you get. Yeah. But again, heavyweight with his power and his boxing abilities, it's up in the air. For Francis, toughest fight for him, but you're getting an older version. It's not a shell of him because he's still dangerous, but it's not even the Arlovsky that I fought in 2014. You're talking 3 years ago. Again, that Francis, the verdict's still out on that Francis guy. When I hear, oh, what about Francis versus Stipe? Whoa! The toughest guy he beat was Anthony Hamilton. No disrespect, but Jesus Christ, Jesus, man,
because he looks really scary and strong, and
I get it.
That's the reason.
He looks like the Predator. I get it. You got some work to do. And then. And then the Beast gets Travis Brown. I don't know if you had that coming up, but the Beast gets Travis Brown, which is a fight he wanted. That fight's in Brooklyn. That's on the main card. Derek Lewis versus Travis Brown's confirmed. UFC 208, Brooklyn, ballin'. That's a fun fight. That and again, so Derek Lewis, he beat Roy by decision, correct? That's his biggest win?
Yeah, that was like a really long, crazy fight, right?
I wouldn't say crazy.
No, I mean like crazy as in
Slow.
Not amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your crazy's different in Korea, I think. Can you go to Derek Lewis's fight record for me?
Sure.
Oh, you could just click on it from there. From your Roy Nelson. There you go. Gadoosh. So, again, and let's slow down with crowning these guys freaking world champions already. So, he gets to the UFC, and he beats Jack May. Shout out to my boy Jack May. He beats Guto and Sante. I don't know if that guy still fights. And then he calls out Kane. Remember that? And they're like, I don't think so. Let's just give you someone who's a bit of a monster, but not Kane. Here's Matt Mitrione. Matt knocks him out in 40 seconds with his hip. Then they go, geez, okay, you're not ready. Here's Ruin Potts. Ruin Potts, all right? And then he gets Sean Jordan. Sean Jordan heel kicks him at 260 wonderful pounds in his home state. Sean Jordan's home state, New Orleans. Love, shout out to Sean Jordan. Hope he's doing well. Don't know what he's doing. So he loses to Mitrione and Sean Jordan, his first two real tests, and gets murked. Then he fights Pesta. Again, Pesta. Then Grabowski. I don't know if these guys still fight. Then he gets a fucking walking Brazilian zombie and Gabriel Gonzaga, knocks him out. And then they're like, all right, here's Roy Nelson. And this is where he gets into a different level of competition. Beats Roy in a split decision. Very controversial fight. Could have went back and forth. That's a big win. I don't give a fuck if it's not Roy from 2010 or Roy from 2013. Roy Nelson is always a tough customer. So then he's at a different level. Then he gets Shamil Abadagmavov, and he was losing that fight until he ground and pounded him. So again, guys, we can't say this guy's the next coming of Mike Tyson, the next coming of Junior Dos Santos or Brock Lesnar or whatever. We got to give it time. You just got to. He has holes in his game. The two guys that he fought with knockout power, he's lost. He went to split decision with Roy Nelson. There's promise there, and I'm a fan. I think he's hilarious on Twitter. I think he's probably the future of the division. But let's give it a little time. Let's not rush these guys. And now he calls out Travis Brown. Travis Brown's a tough customer, super tough. And the headline there is Black Beast is getting a big fight. Yeah, Travis Brown is a big fight. Which Travis Brown do we get, though? He hasn't looked great either. Hasn't looked great. Oh, with his camp, so lost to Verdum, beat Brendan Schaub. Lost to Arlovsky. Mitrione wins super suspect, was losing until he poked Matt in the eye, gets wheel kicked in the beard by Cain Velasquez, gets starched by Verdum. We speak about these runs. And Travis Brown was the guy who, with his intangibles and everything he has going on, he should have been heavyweight champ 2 years ago. When he beat Josh Barnett and he fought Verdum for that heavyweight title eliminator, that was his shot. It's over. Hate to be shitty about it. It's over. Lost to Arlovsky. Matt Brown was shit. Lost, got murked by Kane, murked by Verdum. Now you're fighting the Black Beast. You know? And what's interesting really is what's going on with his camp. Where's his mental space at? There's a lot going on for that guy. But with his physicality, everything, his intangibles, his height, his skill level, if he wants, I mean, he could be world champ. That guy is more talented than anyone we've mentioned today. For whatever reason, he's not. Most would chalk it up to the camp he's in. And if you don't, I'd love to hear a reason why he's not.
He's only 34.
He's 34. He's huge. He has technique, has killer instinct. His takedown defense is tough. Amazing striking. He's quick, has a chin. Tell me why he's not champ. And go. And shitty camp. What else you got, brother?
I think that's all for the new fights.
That's it. Is that it for the world of mixed martial arts right now?
I think so.
Do we cover everything?
As far as I know.
Boom, 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 boom. All right, let's break these fights down. Damn, I'm doing this without a gingerbread cookie, son. I did all this interview shit, breaking down without a gingerbread. I'm proud of myself. I have not eaten yet today. What time is it? 2 o'clock. Okay. After Christmas, I'm going vegan for the first half of the day, and then dinner, I'm going to eat whatever I want. New diet I'm trying. Shout out to vegans. I might die. All right, let's break down this fight night. Cool. We will run through this. Can we start off by saying these fight nights, especially on Fox, remember the first fucking Fox card? I'm trying not to cuss so much, guys. I apologize. Remember the first Fox card? Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos?
Yes, of course.
Barn burners. Remember they just had heaters. And you're like, damn, UFC is coming up, man. This is sick. We're getting these pay-per-view caliber fights. And then you look at the cards these days, and maybe it just didn't go according to plan. They're at the end of their agreement with them. So, and I'm not saying this is a bad card, but as far as star power, if you look back to the old Fox cards, good God. If I'm Fox, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. No one here could headline a pay-per-view. And that's what the Fox, I think, was counting on, but that's their decision. I dig this card. I think it's a fun card. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to do great in ratings. I think what they're trying to do is play off that ratings thing where Uriah Faber, everyone knows who he is. Yep. Mickey Gall beat CM Punk, so maybe we'll get some of that crowd. Northcutt, we want to do well, but not a big name right now. VanZant coming off Dancing with the Stars, so hopefully those people tune in. And Michelle Waterson, hardcore MMA fans know who she is. Good-looking girl. It's a fun fight. She's as tough as they come. But yeah, it's not a pay-per-view. Great fight night card. If I'm Fox, I'm furious, but not my business. So let's start with Jouban versus Perry, which is a perfect way to kick off the main card because Mike Perry is a gentleman that I would say is a knockout artist. I think that's fair. Let's just run through his past few fights. KO punch, first round. KO punch, second round. TKO, first round. KO knees and punches, third round. I mean, he's murking fools. He's a character too, man. This fight, and I'm a Alan Jouban fan. He's obviously makes the Shopcast First Team All Cutie first team. He's a Versace model. Hold, I'll wait. Versace model. So he's doing different things than getting punched in the face. That's a little worrisome when you're fighting a guy like Mike Perry and you're a guy like Alan Jouban, happens to be a gorgeous human being, fantastic looking creature. He just happens to be very good at fighting, but he also likes to get in that brawling game. And a brawling game with Mike Perry, you're usually not going to win, which scares me for Alan Jouban. You look at Jouban's losses. One thing about Jouban, he makes the fights fun, but he gets hit. He does take hits. A guy like Mike Perry, you can't really exchange and getting a brawling match with, which I don't really get it because Jouban has great footwork. He has his karate background. He can use footwork and win fights and not get in these crazy brawls. It's just in his blood. Yeah. He just happens to be a goddamn good looking man that's sponsored by Versace. It's a tough night in the office for Alan Jouban on this matchup, but I'm rooting for Alan. Again, when I make these picks, don't bet your house and your kids' tuition on them because I'm super biased. And if I do have a relationship with a guy, I usually always pick him because I'm hoping in my heart that he wins. But on this fight, again, just like in the Cub Swanson fight against Superboy, my brain says Perry, my heart says Alan Jouban. So I'm rooting for Jouban, but I just see it ending in a ball of fury with Mike Perry landing a huge overhand.
First round?
Second round. What else you got?
The next fight, Pickett and Faber.
Pickett Faber. This is your rating saver because you're at Faber. One thing we count on is, goddamn, was that Pickett's record?
Yeah. Looks pretty
We'll
bad.
get to that. One thing you can count on is Uriah Faber, the California Kid, the most infamous walkout song associated with a fighter in the world and maybe of all time. Faber only loses championship fights, really. You know, he lost to Jimmy Rivera, who doesn't get enough credit. Jimmy Rivera is a monster, people, a monster. So there's nothing to hang your head on that. They lost Dominic Cruz. lost Dominic Cruz in a decision. Lost Frankie Edgar. Again, that was for a title fight. He lost the Barao title fight. But you forget, just 3 years ago, Michael McDonald, he starched him, and that was Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
So I think Uriah Faber wins this one. I don't think it's a decision. I think he finishes Homeboy. So go back to Homeboy. People forget about Brad Pickett. In this fight, one guy submitted Dominic Cruz. One guy beat Demetrius Johnson in a fight. You know that?
No.
Brad Pickett beat Demetrius Johnson years ago.
WEC?
I think so. Years ago. It's a fun fight. The thing about Brad Pickett is, especially at this weight class, he's the one guy who will literally just stand his ground and throw. Yeah. He wants to get in one of those barn burner, knuckle bar fights. And Uriah's too seasoned for that. It's his last fight. There's no way he's going to engage in that. He's going to take him down over and over and eventually get a submission, I think. And maybe what a way to go out if you could get one of his infamous alpha male guillotines.
That would be amazing.
That's what I think happens. And I really, when Uriah said it's the last fight, I believe that. He has so many other opportunities. Again, he's another Mount Rushmore guy, one of my favorite guys in the UFC.
And when he lost to Dominic, that was pretty crazy. I didn't think he would lose that bad.
Yeah.
That last fight?
Yeah.
It was pretty
tough.
Crazy, yeah.
I think Uriah Faber, I'll say he submits Pickett in the third round.
Nice.
Next.
Mickey Gall.
This is a tough one, man, to call. I know I keep using the word tough, and God damn it, Brian Cowan's wearing off on me. Sage Northcutt, Mickey Gall. It's an interesting fight, and I wanted to bet Brian on this. And I'm a flip flopper. I forget which one of us was going for, but we don't know. The verdict's still out on both these guys. Mm-hmm. Both huge up and comers. If either one loses fight, doesn't mean much because they're both, stars on the rise. Mickey Gall, 2 fights in the UFC. CM Punk does not count. So we're just going to say he has 1 fight in the UFC. CM Punk does not count as a win. Any person on the roster, including females, would have beat him that night. And I like CM Punk. I don't think that's being exaggerating or being a hater. I'm just telling you guys, with his skill level in this type of arena, any person, and I'll repeat, any person on the UFC roster would have beat him that night. So that's not really a win for Mickey Gall. So I'm going off his Mike Jackson fight. I'm going off his brown belt skills that I've seen in videos, and I've heard people speak highly of him. I like Mickey Gall as a person. I like how he calls people out. I do think he has a big future. That's still yet to be determined. We haven't seen him be in the fire yet. He's had 3 fights. He got the freebie win against CM Punk. He submitted Mike Jackson in the first round, 45 seconds. And then outside the UFC, he has a rear naked win in the first round. So we haven't seen what happens when he gets hit in the face. We haven't. So it's hard to predict what his future is going to be until we see him actually get in trouble. How's he do when adversity's in his face? Yeah. That's the number one thing for a young fighter. How's he when you're fighting CM Punk and everyone knows you're going to smoke him, that's the easiest day you're ever going to have in the office. I can promise you that, Mickey Gall. That will be the easiest day you've ever had in the UFC. After this, we're going to figure out which one of these guys. And again, whoever loses this fight doesn't mean their career's over. It just means they have a little more work to do. If you click on Sage Northcutt, the verdict's out on Sage Northcutt. Yep. They say he's a freak physically. My definition of freak physics is a little different. I'd have to see his 40 time, his vertical, ripping phone books and crushing apples. I promise you guys, anyone at the Division I level in any football or in the NFL can do all that stuff and probably bigger fruit if that's your label of freak athlete. So I would need to see some measurable feats before we start. The term freak gets thrown out there way too much, especially in athletics. I would not consider him a freak. His body, he has a very good body, but there's nothing in his record to show that he's a freak. Mm-hmm. Nothing at all yet. We haven't seen Anthony Pettis wheel kick off the cage. So Is the potential there? Yes, my God, yes. Look at the way his dad raised him. Look at the high regards he gets from Woodley. People love this kid. I'm a fan of him too. I want to see him do well. His one loss when he got choked out with the arm triangle, they said he was on antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loss. They said it was a throat issue too, so he tapped faster. I'm less concerned about that. All right, fine. Your antibiotics. If you've ever been on antibiotics, that's a legit excuse. Those suck. They drain your energy. I was just on them the other week. They're miserable. I did a jiu-jitsu competition on them. Never done a UFC fight on them. I've done a training camp on them. They're miserable. Your body's drained of all energy. It affects your cardio, your strength, everything. All right, let's say you have that. My issue is just his mistakes on the ground. So on the feet, Sage Northcutt all day. Athletically, Sage Northcutt all day. Mental state, I don't know. I don't know, man, because the one time we saw Sage in trouble, he tapped out pretty fast. And to be honest, you can defend that choke pretty easily. You just can. There's ways out of it. Mickey Gall, we've never seen him face adversity. So this is a big question mark fight. Sage has more hype. Sage has more tools to win. Sage has more promise. Sage has youth. He has a better camp, I'd say. More pressure on Sage. He's a he's a favorite of the UFC brass. This is a toss-up, a complete toss-up. My gut tells me Mickey Gall.
I go with Mickey Gall too, for sure.
He's a bigger guy. And he's just more technical on the ground. I think this fight does end up going to the ground, and I could see Mickey Gall submitting him or winning by decision. I'll go Mickey Gall.
I agree.
That's a fun one.
Super likable too.
It's a fun one. Yeah, he's very, very, very likable.
Yeah.
Sage Northcutt is balls deep in that Bible. Super balls deep. Not taking advantage of the fruits of his labor at all. I gotta nick you for that. I'm gonna have to nick you on that. What else you got?
I guess it's the main event. Waterson versus VanZant.
I'm a chatty fucking Kathy. I guess this is what I am these days. Oh, and by the way, I spoke for 90 minutes with Bellator and Tito before this, which you guys will hear next. Paige VanZant versus Michelle Waterson. Michelle Waterson, former atom weight champion in Invicta. Is that right? Yeah, yep. 105 pounds. Mm-hmm. She's been doing it forever. She has way more tools than Paige VanZant. Way, way, way more tools. She does everything better. I think she said that in some of her interviews. Yeah. It's not even shit talking. It's true. She's been doing it longer. But Paige is the golden pony, the blonde pony, I should say. Looks the part, Dancing with the Stars, uber aggressive. And you would not think a little girl that looks like that would be that aggressive. She went 5 rounds with Rose, which is impressive. And Rose will get you. And that was, fight of the night, I'm sure, right? God, it wasn't. But no. You know what? Hell no, that wasn't fight of the night. She got murked. Remember, she got beat up bad. Her face was all bloody. Yeah. That's right. Rose and Michelle aren't that far off, man. They're really not. Skill-wise, Rose is a little more dangerous on the ground. Stand-up-wise, Michelle's better. But they complement each other very well. She had that switch kick KO against Beck Rollins after coming off Dance with the Stars, which was amazing. Yep. I root for both these girls. I have a little bit of a history with Michelle Waterson. So, again, don't ever listen to what I pick on these things because I pick friends or relationships over actual analyst work because I'm my own boss and I have no producer in my ear, so I can do what I want. God, there's just a lot of momentum for Paige right now in there.
Yeah, just that Rose one, and Rose is she's a beast.
Rose beat the brakes off her though.
That's very true.
Exposed a lot of holes in her game. God, these fights are tough to pick, especially these lighter weights. What's best for business? Paige. If Paige were to win, does that mean she's gonna win? No. I'm going to take Michelle Waterson, the upset. I'll take the underdog. Probably shouldn't be an underdog, but more people know Paige than they do Michelle. Michelle at minus 105. Paige minus 115. Yeah, if I had to pick Mickey Gall's the underdog. Not really.
I think that just barely changed.
It's almost even. They're both even almost. Yeah. Michelle, she's just been through it. How long does she want to keep doing it though? Paige has a lot of momentum. A win means a lot more for her, I think, business, entertainment wise. Eesh. And one thing I love about Paige is her tenacity, and it's her biggest tool. Is her wrestling the best? Nope. Is her striking the best? Nope. Is her jiu-jitsu the best? Nope. Tenacity, attitude? Yep. World champion tenacity and attitude. Pressure. You can't be born with that. Skills you can get, that you can't. That breaks a lot of girls at that weight. Michelle's been through the ringer, though. She's going to be impossible to break. So is Rose. And at the end of the day, that tenacity, when you get to that level, will only beat certain girls. I don't think it beats Michelle Waterson. Not right now. I think VanZant still has a little ways to go. But I'm a huge fan of hers. Michelle Waterson, though, ride or die. I think Michelle gets a finish.
Wow.
I think she gets a finish. She's more technical, has more tools. And that's your UFC fight night.
Quick question, Brendan. Real quick.
What?
Before you pass out. Have you ever heard of any girl having CTE or being punchy? Have you ever known any girl that
They haven't been around long enough.
Because that's the one thing I noticed. I was like,
they haven't been doing it long enough. I mean, the one I would say, I mean, there's boxers. There's some female boxers. But you never hear about it, huh?
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Never heard of it.
Does anyone know? I'm sure our fans email us if you know anyone, but they haven't been doing combat sports long enough.
I thought of it because you know how Paige was taking a beating from Rose. So I was like, I never heard of a story.
Good point, man. Well, we'll see in 10 years.
Yep.
Paige is drooling out her mouth, shitting her pants with a wig on. It's a way bigger bummer because at least guys can still get laid if they have CT. It's like, all right, he's a warrior. Look at his face, the things he did for the nation, the things he did for my entertainment. He put it all on the line. A girl, you punchy, you got scar tissue all over your face. It ain't happening. I don't give a fuck what you did. It ain't happening, man. For guys, it's different. It's almost a badge of honor. You got the gnarly ears, your face, a little grimace. You got that voice. Like people know when a punchy guy walks in. Like I've been around Evander Holyfield at parties, and I mean that train don't stop. That train does not stop. By train, I mean that girl train. People are still gaga-eyed over him.
Oh,
a chick ain't happening. They pay a bigger price, I think, if they do get punchy. I've never met a punchy chick. That being said, maybe they're just tougher. Their brains are just tougher. All right, man. That's the fight night picks, though. I think I went 4 out of 5 last time. I think the only one I got right or wrong was Tim. And that's because I'm biased as fuck. And he ring rust and was cutting too much weight back to back. And Kelvin's a monster. Do some fan questions?
Sure.
Was this longest podcast of all time? Maybe it just feels long because I was doing work before this.
Possibly. All right. M. Michelson, are you eventually trying to have your own podcast? You always say that Rogan is your idol.
I mean, this would be my own podcast. You mean as far as like a lifestyle podcast? No, I mean, I enjoy doing it with someone like Brian Callen. In I'm not naive enough to think I would have the same success that Brian and I have had and doing it on my own. Not to mention, I don't want to do this alone. I like doing these once a week. And if something were to happen to Brian, I had to do it on my own, I'd figure it out. But I love having my partner in crime, and Brian's also my best friend. So I don't want to do stuff without him. And also, Brian gives me a pass to be silly as fuck, and he's a silly dude, and I don't want to be serious all the time. I don't want to talk about fights all the time. So doing these once a week is good enough, I think. What else you got, brother?
This is interesting. So, Mr. Dwight is asking, will you guys ever do a live stream like Rogan?
I haven't really thought about it. What do you think, Chin? They're a beast to do, right? I don't see. I mean, I guess people could see it right now, seeing it from work, but it messes with your downloads. Yes,
possibly. And as of right now, maybe in the future, but not right this second.
I don't see a huge sense of. We would do it if it was like a huge sense of urgency. It's also, Rogan has the best equipment, obviously, but the bandwidth and the internet, that's a different animal. We're just getting started, but we'll look into it. But I don't see any dire need to do it. We release these, by about 4 o'clock. Everyone has it at the very latest the next morning. So, I mean, to do fight companions, you kind of need to. But
you got to do it for fight companions.
Yeah.
So I guess eventually,
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Cool. All right, John Boy 511, Big Shab, do you plan on releasing a comedy special? If so, when? Or wait, did we answer this question already?
I don't think so. Did we?
Yeah. So.
Again, the same thing with that Black Beast stuff. God, let me get my beak wet, man. I haven't beat anybody. I mean, yeah, my dream and goal is eventually do a one-man show, hour-long show about just my whole kind of experience in this life through football, fighting, comedy, entertainment, and my background and upbringing. Do a one-man show. That's the goal. I think realistically, next 2 years, I think I could do that if I focus on it. Awesome. That's the plan. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Here's a funny question. I thought, Sonnen, who's hotter, Paige, Waterson, or Joban?
Well, Joban, number one. Again, Versace. Versace. He signed with Versace, for God's sakes. Yeah. They only sign beautiful creatures that don't look like me or Chin. And then as far as Paige, Michelle, dude, depends on the flavor you like. Both beautiful girls, both badass fighters, both super professional. It depends what day you hit me on. If I walk into the ice cream shop and I feel like vanilla, I go with Paige. Walk in the ice cream shop, I feel like cinnamon, I go with Michelle. Both dime pieces. Both first team all dime piece. But obviously Paige is a different animal. She's a cutie. Is that it?
That's it, unless you want any more.
I think that's it, my man. I've been talking for quite some time. I'm sick of hearing me talk. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Big Brown Breakdown. I'm looking to change that name. I'm not sure yet. Like I said at the beginning, if you think of a better name, hit me up on Instagram, DM me, or just comment when we post this show. The show will be out tonight. It is Thursday. It is 2:25 on Thursday afternoon, live from Playa Vista, the Fire and the Kids studios. Up now is one of my favorites, UFC legend, Bellator legend, fighting Chael Sonnen at the Forum in Los Angeles, California. Ladies and gentlemen, Tito Ortiz. Enjoy. All right, guys. Very special episode of The Fighter and the Kid. MMA legend, one of my, it's weird to say because we are boys. One of my heroes, man. You're one of the reasons I got into the sport. Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach bad boy, live and in person, and dressing pretty dapper, I must say.
Come on, when I don't. I mean, when don't okay, it is actually it goes down when I train. I don't. When I train, I'm always in punishment gear. When I'm with my kids, unless we're at a premiere or at a big fight, I'm always wearing suits. But if not,
I feel like you're one of the first guys to wear the suit and kind of really take kind of the style to another level, because we see in NBA, NFL guys, they wear suits and they're required to. I don't know if you know that they're required to. They can't wear sweats. They used to be able to, and they're like, that looks unprofessional. Right. You guys are making way too much money. Please wear a suit.
Yeah, no.
But you were kind of the first fighter to do it, because every fighter, it's really not in their nature to wear suits or dress up, but you're kind of the first guy.
Well, it was an idea that I've always wanted to do. I just could never afford it. And then I was able to make a little bit of money. And actually, Lorenzo Fertitta was the first person buying my first suit.
That's awesome.
We're in Japan. He's all, we need to put you in a suit. So we're running around Japan trying to find me a suit for me. And they had nothing my size. So as soon as we got back to Vegas, we went to a tailor. He got my first Armani suit, which I still have.
Does it fit?
Actually, it does fit. It does still fit me. And then, of course, when I did Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump, took it to the next level and started getting the 3 pieces and started to get a little more style to it. And I've never stopped. And as I started doing that, I watch other fighters starting to follow my footsteps, you know. And now, you know, I look at, Conor McGregor, and this kid, he dresses to a T. And I've heard he said that actually he's looked up to me as dressing nice. And, you know, I've always heard you dress like money, you deserve money. And that kid is making some serious money.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jerry Rice started with look good, play good. And then obviously he's older than you. And then you were the first guy to do it. So I think all that kind of younger generation, Connor's obviously younger than I am, but we saw you do it. We saw the success you had because you were kind of the first guy to cross over, and you had this other business stuff going on and punishment. Yeah. They're in Celebrity Apprentice. And I think everyone was like, dang, I want to do that, man. But I'm dressed in freaking joggers and tennis shoes.
Yep. Flip-flops and jeans.
Yeah.
You got to dress for success, man. That's just the way it is. It's life in general. It's who you associate with. You know, the people who you're with is who you become. And that's something that I've learned. You know, I learned a little bit from Lorenzo, and that's something that he told me. It's like who you hang out with is who you can become, so watch who you hang out with. So, you know, through my life, I've weeded out the thin, kept around the thick, and, you know, I'm happy to be where I am after 19 years.
Yeah, but exactly, 19 years. You've done a good job of it because you were young, champion, and you look at a guy like John Jones who's obviously having his struggles, and he was on record, Joe Rogan's show, saying, yeah, I was surrounding myself with knuckleheads, man. I was young, I had money, and you hear this all the time, you know, but I almost feel like it's a cop-out because you had the same thing. You were young, and especially at the time, there wasn't as many UFC stars. There was Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort, Chuck Liddell.
Yep,
that's about it.
That's all there was.
And then Tim Sylvia and Arlovsky fought every other weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you say that because there's a few other fighters that were like that too that fought every other weekend. And they're like, we're just trying to fight from paycheck to paycheck.
I know,
man. I was like, you know, I'll fight maybe twice a year, 3 times a year. I mean, I think I was the first UFC fighter to get paid $1 million. I was very lucky, very fortunate. But I stuck my ground. There's a lot of times that I had zero in the bank and I stuck it out just for negotiation purposes. And I was just hoping that all of a sudden Lorenzo came knocking on my door with Dana and saying, okay, Tito, what do you want? And I'm thankful for it. You know, I'm very thankful. I look back on that and I stuck my ground for what I believe in. I was only fighting for what Dana fought for me when he was my manager. Yeah. And now I just look back on it and times have changed. I'm a totally different person, totally different man and father. You know, my last fight here in my career, and I'm looking to go on to bigger and better things. I'm content, man. I'm happy, and I'm competing against a person right now who has challenged me, and has challenged me as a human, challenged me as a fighter and a man like no other. And I get the opportunity to redeem myself. Chael Sonnen is the person I'm talking about. And, as I watched on Spike TV of him calling me out, it put a smile on my face. I was pissed, but it put a big smile on my face because I got an opportunity to redeem myself, as I say. This guy doesn't realize who he's fighting. He thinks I'm a broken old man with 8 surgeries that's not be able to train. And on January 21st, he's going to get a big surprise.
Yeah, that's not true. I've trained with you, I think last year, and I had my hands full. Tito's not old. He still has all the tricks.
I'm a lot better than that. Let me tell you now, it's a different... I'm healthy now, man. It's scary.
You were hurt, I think, when we were
my neck. Yeah, I was having a really bad neck problem. You know, that's when they finally fused C6, C7. I had a bone spur that was pressing on my spinal cord.
That's fun.
I know for all the listeners, I don't know if you guys watch, Bleed for This? Dude, that movie is intense about Vinny Panzienza coming back after having a broken neck. And I thought I was the only crazy person in this world. And I guess that guy just as crazy because he came back and beating Roberto Duran and winning the world title. I've been in the same situation my whole career. It seems like my worst enemy has been my body.
Yeah, yourself.
But,
so when you say this is your last, this is it.
This is it, man.
Were you thinking of being done anyway? But then Chael kind of, calling you out, you're like, you know what? I can't go out like this.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna have one fight no matter what. You know, I've always fulfilled my contracts. If any company I've ever fought for, and it's only been 2.
So contractually, you have one more fight.
I had one more fight no matter what, and great money. I can't complain about it. But at the same time, people are going, why are you trying to call out Royce Gracie? I want to fight someone with a big name. I want to fight someone that people would want to watch and be interested in the fight. They talked about Ken Shamrock, talk about Frank Shamrock, and then all of a sudden, Chael Sonnen spouted out the side of his neck, and I was just like, dude, this is
Perfect.
That's a blessing in disguise right here. Look at this. So I was happy. I was really, really, really happy. And I've already been in camp since August, the middle of August. I started. I was supposed to do a fishing tournament in September. I canceled it, thinking I was going to fight in November. That's when Chael called me out, and it was, I think, $4.5 million I could have won, and I canceled it because when Chael called me out, that's how serious this fight game is to me.
That's all that mattered to you.
It's all matters, man.
I think with Chael, especially when he came to Bellator, you have yourself who signed with Bellator, Kimbo, rest in peace. You have Roy McDonald. Chael's one of those guys where it's a game changer for the Bellator brand. We all know what he brings to the table. He's one of the biggest names in the world. Huge draw. His epic fights with Anderson Silva and all that other stuff. So when he came over, and after talking to Chael, he had a lot of offers to fight, Roy McDonald at a gangster weight, all these other guys. And he called you out and several other guys, but I think you were the only guy who was like, bring it, man. What? And I think that, and to me, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, damn, the old Tito's back.
Like I say, this is one of those fights that I've kind of been waiting. Hopefully it would happen. And I was planting a seed a long time ago. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. He was fighting Brian Stan. He beat Brian Stan. It was right before the second Anderson Silva fight. And I remember going to his dressing room and telling him, we're fellow wrestlers. And for listeners who don't remember my history with Chael, we wrestled against each other in college, D1. He wrestled at Oregon University. I wrestled at Cal State Bakersfield. On my birthday, we wrestled against each other. He moved up to 190 pounds, which is my weight class. I went for an underhook and hit with a headlock and put me on my back and pinned me 34 seconds.
On your birthday?
On my birthday.
Damn. Was it the worst birthday ever?
Dude, it was my worst birthday ever. I put my running shoes on, turned around, I ran stairs until the whole dueling was over.
Were you aware of Chael Sonnen at the time?
I was a little bit aware of who Chael Sonnen was because I knew he wrestled Greco, but not to that extent. I just made a mistake. I had my head up a little too high with the underhook, and he took advantage of it and threw me on my back and pinned me in 34 seconds on my birthday.
And when you talk to Chael about it, it's almost like he forgot about it because he was on the show earlier, and I was speaking to him, and I went, "Didn't you beat Tito in wrestling?" He goes, "I think so. I know he's harping on it. I think so."
See, this is a band
to you, it's a big deal. Like to you, you buried that deep inside.
Well, I think as competitors, the only thing we only remember is the people we lose to.
I agree. Yeah, it's the way our brains are made to work. Too.
Yeah, it's a brain way. I mean, that's the way to work on everything. I think as competitors to compete against each other is the people you lose to. How do you get a chance to redeem yourself? How do you get a chance to show that you can do better the next time? And this is my opportunity on January 21st. This is not a wrestling match. I'm going to throw my elbows in his face. I'm going to throw my knees in his face, my feet in his face, my punches in his face. He's going to have to try to take me down for 3 rounds. Does he have enough heart to try to take me down for 3 rounds? We're four weeks out of the fight right now. I seen him 3 weeks ago. It looked like he's not taking this fight seriously.
Because you guys have been doing kind of the whole media tour. It's
yes.
probably almost want to say biggest Bellator fight ever.
It will.
Is that fair?
Yes, it will.
Is that fair to say probably the biggest Bellator matchup ever?
It will be the biggest.
So you guys have been on this, promotional PR tour, and so what people don't realize when you do those PR tours, you're around your opponent all the time, all the time. I'm
on my game every single time. This guy's trying to crack jokes, trying to smile at me. He went to stand to kind of shake my hand one time. He doesn't realize this is competition. I'm not a Chael Sonnen fan. I'm not a friend of yours. I'm not your buddy. I'm not your wrestling pal. Right now, you're my enemy. You're trying to take my lunch money. You're trying to bully me. You're trying to punk me on the playground. And this is not going to happen because that playground is that cage, and that's my cage. He's coming to Bellator, and I'm going to give him an ass-whipping recognition of what Bellator is about. And you think that, doing all this PR stuff and seeing Chael, you would say he's not taking it serious just by he looks out of shape? He looks out of shape. He looks fat. I don't know all the steroids he's taken before. He's just so used to being on that he's used to taking the easy way out. My years of 19 years now, I've been competing. I've never had that opportunity. Actually, I've had many opportunities to do it, but I've never done it. Just because I've saw weakness. I watched a lot of guys like Mark Coleman. It ruins them. It ruins them physically, mentally, and they look for easy way outs because they can't train hard. They look for easy way outs in the fight, and I'm gonna give Chael Sonnen the easy way out in this fight, and that'll be as soon as that first round starts and I come at him, he's gonna realize how strong I am, and I'm gonna try to put my elbow through his face, and I'm gonna give him many easy way outs. Either you take an ass whipper for 3 rounds, or you're gonna get choked, or you're gonna get punched, knocked out, one or the other. I'm going for blood, man. This fight, I've never felt so dedicated to a fight than this one right here. I mean, I have more dedication in this fight than I did for the championship fight. I don't know what it is, just the mentality of losing to someone before and having
maybe because it's your last one.
And it's my last one. I mean, this goes back to when I fought Forrest Griffin. I gave everything I possibly could for that fight, and I had injuries, and I still went out and I thought I won the fight. But
if you look at your history, whenever your back is against the wall, think about Ryan Bader. Think about Ryan Bader when it was based like, all right, Tito's out. He loses this one, he's out, and what happens? You know what I'm saying? Whenever you think Tito's back is against the wall, it usually brings the best out of you, I think.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
That's been my whole life. That's been a whole life, man. Ever since I've been a kid, I've been that kid that people said he's not going to achieve anything. And I've been very, very successful. Like I say, over the last 19 years, I've been inspired to inspire others, to show that you're able to get through hard times. You're able to get through hard things. And I've been able to get through these things through my life. 8 surgeries, man. I've had ACL replaced my left knee, ACL replaced my right knee, 50% meniscus taken out of my right knee. I've had L4-5, S1 fused in my lower back, C6, C7 fused in my neck, C5, C4 disc replacement, C4, C3 fused, reattached retina in my left eye, ganglion cyst removal in my left hand. I've had
7 jagillion stitches.
Dude, I actually have 5 stitches right in my
Oh,
forehead.
no,
right
I
now.
can see, brother. I saw on Instagram too.
It's lick my wounds, only flesh wounds, man. I'm cool. I'll be healed. I mean,
You're like Wolverine.
I'm going to Sparta today, so I just tape back to the wrestling. I just tape it up. Let's go and let's do it, man. That's the way it is.
Do you? Because from you, obviously, you're taking this very serious. I can tell just in your voice and your demeanor. We've known each other for a while. We've trained together. You have this fire for this fight, and and Chael is a buddy. Chael's a good friend of mine, but with Chael, ring rust is real. I don't care what anyone says.
3 years of ring rust.
And you can hear Dom Cruz say, no, ring rust isn't real. Look at me. He's a tiny little dude. If you're fighting a high-level guy, that is real. Now toss on top of that all the stuff you had to deal with the doping issues, getting fired from Fox, getting released from the UFC. And then on top of that, he's an analyst. He has his podcast, and then he's on The Apprentice with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Actually, that's already shot. They already shot that.
Correct,
yeah,
but
he has to do the PR stuff for that too. So,
yes. I feel like, and granted, you have all your stuff going. You have the punishment and
everything's on hold.
There you go.
Everything is on hold for me right now. Right now, number one. I mean, even my kids are like, "Dad, we miss you," and it's like it draws tears in my eyes almost, man. Because it's like, I'm like, guys, wow, we only have 6 more weeks now. 6 weeks ago, and we only have 5 more weeks. We're like, Dad, this is going by quick. You're gonna crush Chael.
That's awesome.
He kind of looks like Bonner. Well, actually, he's kind of like the same guy, but just a little bit better wrestler. He goes, "Oh, Dad, you're a better wrestler than him," and it's cool because all 3 of my boys, they see it, and they see the hard work I put in for this camp so far, and I'm building men, and so they're able to see, of what the hard work that I put into, that they want to do the same thing themselves.
And I think at your level too, especially being the main event, whenever you feel like a guy, I don't want to say 1 foot out, 1 foot in, but it gives you kind of like, oh, really? You think you can do all that stuff and still compete with me when I'm fully focused on that? And as a fighter, I used to love that stuff.
I think that's motivates me a little bit also. Just the idea of 3 years off, and the idea on top of that I'm the underdog.
And he called you out.
And he calls me out. Yeah. And he calls me a coward.
Okay,
and he says I'm broke and I lost my phantom that I worked my ass off over the last fucking 20 years, 30 years for, man. It's just... that's been my dream since I graduated high school, to have a phantom. And for him to say that I'm going bankrupt and, man, this guy, everything's going to be hit with bad intentions. And it's going to be a controlled anger. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to do the mistake that I did against Bonner, where I came out swinging for the fences right off the bat and just kind of blew my wad, where I was just fighting with my heart. And every one of my fights, I do fight with my heart, and I think that's why fans love me. But for this one, I will take my time. I'll be very precise on everything I do. I know exactly what he's going to do. He's not going to do anything different. I expect to defend the double leg. I must have defended over 1,000 double legs over the last 4 months. But that's his chance to try to take me down. And if he does take me down, he ain't going to wear me out. If he does take me down, I'm submitting his ass. I'll triangle him, or I'll arm lock him, or I'll choke him. Either one of those choices. He's going to fight a lion. This little cub's going to fight a lion, and he doesn't realize it, that he's called the wrong person at the wrong time of his career.
Do you feel like, I don't know if this, maybe it's fair to say, but you were kind of the first guy who was a showman, who talked all the stuff, who had his own brand, the Huntington Beach bad boy, and that's what that was Tito.
See, but here's the difference.
When he walked into the octagon, and you went backstage after Chael beat Brian Stanley. Keep this up, man, because you're creating a brand for yourself, and then it's going to be bigger than what you're doing now. This is the way to do it. So, and then now he's on The Apprentice. Would you say he took the Tito Ortiz workshop? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's exactly, I think, what he said. That's what he's doing. That's I'd have to say that for sure. That's what he's doing. It's just the best. Kind of.
It's a good analogy, right?
Yeah,
it's kind
huge. It's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's doing the Tito Ortiz blueprint.
Yeah,
I think a lot. You could say that for Conor McGregor even.
Yeah, and once again, but here's the difference.
He's making it his own though.
No. Conor, well, he's making his own, but Conor's backing his shit up. When I fought, I backed my shit up no matter what.
Otherwise, people aren't going to buy it.
Chael has never backed his shit up.
Yeah,
he talked all the smack he possibly could, and that's what got him in fights. But he never finished. He never won a world title. He calls himself the people's champ. He never won a world title. You got to be a champion to be able to call it the people's champ. He's never won a world title. And every fight he's gone into, he's got his ass whipped. The last 3 fights he's been in, he's got his ass whipped, got stopped in the first round. Who was it? Rashad Evans stopped him in the first round, knocked him out. Johnny Bones Jones stopped him, knocked him out. Or excuse me, stopped referee stoppage. Every fight he's ever been in. Anderson Silva, the first one, he got the better of him the first 4 minutes of the round, and Anderson corrected it and submitted him. The second time, wasn't even a match. Wasn't even a match. And so his mouth is pretty much just got into it. If you're gonna talk to smack, you got to back it up when it's fight time. And that's what I did. I was the first light heavyweight champ for UFC. Ran as a champion for 5 defenses. Couture beat me. He was the man at the time, and I'm still competing. And this will be my last one, and I'm doing it the right way.
So this last fight, in a perfect world, how do you see it going down?
Referee's going to pull me off in the first round.
First round stoppage?
First round stoppage, about 350. And I'm never a person to give my analysts on a fight that's going to happen. But I believe in this one. He's going to quit, and I'm going to make him quit. I'm going to make Chael Sonnen quit. He's not going to want to do it anymore. Either that or he's going to take 3 rounds of an ass whipping. He's not going to take me down. If he does take me down, we're going to submit him. I'm going to be on top, and he's going to get ground and pound Tito Ortiz style for sure.
Who's the training camp for this fight?
Rafael Davis, who actually wrestled at Cal State Bakersfield. He's been with me since junior college.
I love that guy.
Well, him and Chael wrestled against Chael. He's beat Chael.
He's phenomenal. Phenomenal wrestler.
I'm working with him, wrestling with Scott Carr with my jiu-jitsu. Of course, Jason Perillo. Who else we got?
How's Perillo? And we're talking about this off air. How is Perillo not? He should have his own brand of equipment. He should be the poster for Everlast.
He's the quiet coach who does an amazing job. Man. Look at him with Chris Cyborg, with
Bisbing,
Michael Bisbing. He's doing BJ Penn. He's done some great things with myself that I worked with him. The great thing about him is he shows technique really good. He shows, he holds mitts perfect. But the best thing about, his best attribute has to be his positive motivations of the things. Either he understands me as a human, he understands the way my brain ticks, and he understands the way other fighters that he trains, the way their mind ticks.
That's huge.
But it's just the way he says things. And it goes back to his coach, Jesse Reed, who was my coach that I got introduced through him. It was the same type of an idea. It was, you're punching the right way. The things you're doing here, wait, let's fix this. Let's fix that. Okay, there we go, right there. Oh, there, that's through the powers. All right, there you're throwing from your hip there. Just point out the little small things that us fighters, we're at the top level, but we need these little details put into our camp.
Is Perillo the one coming up with the game plans? Like as far as stand-up goes and stuff
stand-up
like that?
goes, yes, most of the time. A lot of it. God, I've been doing this stuff for so long. So,
sure.
I think all of us as coaches together, we're putting it together and kind of correlating and putting everything, our ideas together to make the fight happen.
And I'm not even trying to shine the spotlight on Perillo because, obviously he doesn't want it. But what that guy did with Bisbing against Anderson Silva, with yourself, you look at Cyborg, which I want to get into. We can transition into that too. But I've never seen anything like it, man.
Yeah.
And all these other guys get all this credit. And I'm always... when I'm on Rogan, when I'm doing my show, I'm like, Pirello, man.
Yeah,
How
Pirello,
is no one giving this guy any credit?
He's the quiet guy behind there just doing the work.
You want that as a fighter for your coach.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it sucks when you got the strength conditioning guy out there screaming, yelling, trying to get his money out of people watching him on television. I've been there, done that before.
I've been there, done that. Where you have your sponsors on, and you look at your coaches like, wait, I'm not sponsored by them.
Yeah,
wait,
no.
why is everyone dressed different? They're all getting their own money?
Yeah.
Like, God, what happened to those team shop shirts?
I know.
Oh, no, it's team coach. Well, all right, man. That bums you out.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. People take kindness for weakness, and you just got to shake your head and move on, man.
You've always been a guy who's been outspoken. You've always done it your way. You've never been that kind of sheep that just followed along.
I'm a wolf.
You're a wolf, and you're also a guy that when they say jump, you go, and I feel like I'm similar in this way where they go jump, I go, I'm down to jump, but tell me why. Just give me the reason why I'm jumping, and I'm going to be on board.
It needs to be a good reason.
I need a good reason.
I need a good reason.
If I'm going to jump my ass across this river.
1,000%.
And you've always been kind of that guy who took the stand and fought the good fight. With all this MMA association union stuff, where do you stand on that?
You know, I got to watch my tone here and make sure I say the right things at the right time, because a couple of the people that are associated with it, I don't agree with at all. I can't say names, liability reasons, but I don't know if Couture's involved with it. I'm down with it just because I love Couture. He's an awesome man, awesome man. Period.
You know what? Let's. I'm down with you not calling out names, and there's obviously a good reason, and yeah, obviously this won't make the Bellator thing, but just from my standpoint, I got a call from Tim Kennedy and other representatives for the association, and I didn't get all the facts. I was like, and they're like, you have a big voice, you know,
give us the
you
facts.
speak well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm on board, man. I'm on board. Tim does his fight, and then blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why is Bjorn speaking for it? Why is Bjorn out there doing this?
Thank you for saying
And then
the
I
word.
went, you know what?
Thank you for saying the name.
Then I went, I'm out. I'm out, man. If that's your plan, if he's the voice of reasoning, I can't be part of that, man. Yeah. I'm out. Yeah. And from my understanding, and I have a little bit of understanding on this, most fighters, when they saw it, were like, we're out. They jumped the boat like it was the Titanic.
Yeah.
Like he was the glacier, and we're on the Titanic.
There's another person in there, too. And I think I could probably say his name, Juanito. But that's another fool that shadows are really dark around those people's. And those two names, I
think they have different agendas than what's best for the fighters.
Yeah, it's not for the fighters, for themselves.
But let's take union, association, rank tour, who's ever involved. Right. Would you agree something needs to be done?
1,000% something needs to be done. You know, and I mean, maybe this is something that Bellator could be a part of, and they could help out. I mean, I know they're trying to make their own money. Everybody's trying to make their own money, but at the end of the day, us fighters. I mean, you look, was the girl's Esparza?
Yeah, I know.
She's trying to sell her bike, man. I was on my way to Vegas for Amber's birthday, and I saw on Instagram that she was trying to sell her bike, and she's like, it's worth 19 grand. I was like, first thing, because I have no contact with her at all. First thing I did was,
you're like, I'll give you 12.
No, I was like, I'll give you money. I want you to keep your bike. I'll give you money. I'll hold your bike until you make your money, and then I'll give you your bike back, and you give me my money back.
That's awesome.
As easy as that. Man, these fighters
Well, how about, and this is a guy where, he just had surgery, so he couldn't help you out this camp, but Pat Cummings. If you know Pat.
Yeah, he just had was it staph infection?
He had MRSA really bad, and he was supposed to fight last weekend, but he's homeless. He's living couch to couch. And Pat was ranked 13 in the world. He's fighting, and he's going couch to couch. So, I mean, going back to this fighter union thing, it does need to happen just because we need to take care of our fighters, and if they want to, if UFC want to make it like the NFL, then these guys need to be getting taken care of, It just makes me it almost helps
head.
out Bellator a little bit, where
it helps out a lot, actually.
Well, because and competition is good. The best thing for the fighters is competition. Yes. That's what they don't realize. You don't want UFC to go away. You don't want Bellator to go away. You want both of them to rise to the top, which is what's going on. Yeah. It's just taking a little while, but Bellator is getting, I think, so much more talent because the limits for the sponsors are off. Yes. It's literally like, here, Why would you guys wear uniforms? Yeah. You're subcontractors. Why would we take that money from you? Yeah, but I mean, with UFC, it's been a business to them. It's strictly a business to them. It's never been about the fighters. It's strictly a business.
And now with Bellator, it's a little different. You know, Scott Coker is an amazing individual who's been there for the fighters. I mean, this is back since Strikeforce days, where I almost signed with Strikeforce, and then Lorenzo and Dana came to my house and said, "We ain't letting you go. What do you want?" Yeah, gave me what I want at the time, but like I say with Scott, I mean, he's given these fighters the leeway to do what they want. You know,
we had Scott on the show, and I talked to Scott, and he's a friend. And I was trying to figure out, because if you've ever met, and this isn't a knock on Dana White or Don King, any promoter, but if you ever met a promoter, they all have that kind of business shark feel where you know where you stand. Yeah. And with Scott, it's literally like, what's going on here? Why do you actually care about what's going on with me? What do you need from me? And you talk to him, and he's just been so passionate about, from Strikeforce with kickboxing. Then
he loves the sport.
Look at the guys he recruited in Strikeforce who are now champions of the world. Yes. You just go through the list. Yeah. Look at the talent he's brought on. Look at AK. Look at all these guys, and there's a correlation. There's a tree from starting with Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate, Woodley, Rockhold, Cormier. You go through the list, and they all have one common denominator: Scott Coker. Yeah. And have you ever heard? And I know I'm going on a tirade about Scott here, but have you ever heard of Have you heard of a bad thing about the guy?
So that's Rampage is a good one. Here's a good one that Rampage call it the street Google. Ask all your partners about a person. If any of your partners say anything bad about him, he's probably a bad person. If any of your partners say good things about him, he's probably a good person.
That's fair, especially amongst the fighters. You know,
1,000% amongst
the fighters. It spread like for this Bjorn thing. As soon as I got word, it went like wildfire. You're like, oh shit! There's like a mass text, like a jump ship. But I agree. But you have the union association, and they also have their differences. But something needs to be done. I don't have the answers, but obviously
I don't have the answers myself. But like I say, if one of these guys came up with great ideas, or not even ideas, stuff on black and white, where I could see it, you know, for what it is and what they're going to do. I mean, not politically saying stuff, but doing stuff to make it happen. I would like to jump up aboard it and make it happen. You know,
and you'd be a huge voice for that.
Yeah, I mean, because like I say, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you the way it is. I'm a cut dry person. This is the way it is. This is the way it's gonna happen. This is the way it's gonna be. And I've done that my whole career. You know, and I've tried to tell that to Chael in the very beginning. You know, if you want to get under someone's skin, you want to get your fans behind you. Talk as much shit as possible. I mean, he messed up on it. Don't ever talk about a person's country. Don't talk about a person's family, and always tell the truth. And you could talk as much shit as possible. Mm-hmm. Well, he's done that really bad through his career. So, I mean, it shows to see.
He can't go to Brazil. Yeah, that's tough.
You can't
go to Brazil. No. And just transition to, obviously you have a relationship with Cyborg. She's in the news all over. Right. And they finally make a 145-pound women's division, which is huge. And then
it's
without her, though.
She was offered the fight. She has been fighting over the last 3 years and cutting the weight that they've asked her to make 140 pounds.
Which is crazy.
You know, she wanted to have a little break, and I had her back. I said, I believe in what you want to do. Awesome, great. And they offered her a fight January 21st. She said no because you're fighting on that card. And then they offered another fight. I think it was in February 11th. For a title, for 145-pound title against Holly Holmes, and she said, "No, I still want to take a break." And it made me scratch my head, going, "Why would you do that? Here's your opportunity to shine like you just won. That's just showing that you just won. They made your weight class." And she didn't want to do it, and I said, "Okay, I support you," but she needs to understand that the show goes on in UFC. The show goes on. It's not about the fighters. It's never been about the fighters. It's about the show. And they made the weight class 145. Holly Holmes against a girl who I don't know who her name is fighting for the 145-pound world title. I seen Dana post it on Instagram, and I said, good job. Thumbs up to Dana for making the 145-pound weight class. I get a text from Chris saying, what the fuck? Whose team are you on?
It hurt me. Just emotional.
It has to be emotional. It hurt me, and when she said that, I was just like, "Excuse me, I put my name out on the line for you, girl."
You do.
When nobody would, no one wanted to partner with her at all, And she says, I'm the champion of the world and I have 0 in my bank account. Can you help? And I was out of my way to go and help her. Now it's like she has everything in her palm. She's letting it slip away. I don't know what it is at home. I don't know. I don't have a clue. And she sent me another bad text, and I just was like, I hope you sit and think about this. I love the girl like a sister. It's at the end of the day, and it's all over, and we're no longer fighters no more. I still would invite her in my home. It made me just kind of scratch my head thinking, it's just like, why would she say the things she's saying right now? But it's emotional. As a fighter,
yeah, I think she's emotional, and she maybe when she saw that, it triggered something in her where she's like, what the? Like she feels like everyone's against her.
I'm not.
No,
I've been for her for the whole time.
I agree.
We got her in the
I'm
UFC.
just saying maybe
she
she felt like that, you know. But if you see her reason, she came out and she goes, for me to make the weight after making 140 in these past 2 fights, my body's wrecked. And I suffered depression.
Yes.
I just need to march.
Yes. 100%.
And so what's going on, I think she needs to not take it so personal, because I don't think the UFC is going, all right, we have to have 145. Let's do it without Cyborg, because they created let's be real, they created it for her.
Yes.
She's the best 100%. In the world by far. But
And
they just want to do it now. And then remember, they have this huge debt they have to pay off. This huge freaking debt.
And the show must go on.
The show must, and to say the least, but the show must go on. But it also, by having more belts, you get more attention, which results in more pay-per-views.
Yes.
So they're like, all right, we need this
boxing.
Brooklyn card. She can't make it. All right, well, she's going to fight the next one. So it's not the end of the world for her. No. You're going to be champ. Yes. They're just keeping the belt warm for you. Exactly. It might be in March. It might be in April, May, but
and that's the other thing that she doesn't understand. Every one of these 135 pounders, 145 pounders, 155 pounders, if there was.
Shit, 170.
There is no woman in the world that can compete with with Chris Cyborg.
Oh, I was like, damn, went down a weird road. Now I'd like to argue.
Because that was leading to something. That's why I thought of that.
I hear you.
Ronda Rousey needed to get her ass whipped by Chris Cyborg. Because Chris Cyborg is the best in the world by hands down far.
And I agree
Does Ronda get past Nunes? No.
You don't think so?
I don't think she gets past Nunes. No way. Nunes is a stud.
Reasons? Just because Nunes hit so hard? Game plan?
Takedown defense. Her jiu-jitsu is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
She punches half as hard as Chris. Chris punches like a woman. These are girls fighting. Chris is a woman.
And I agree with I think she's by far the best female fighter on the planet. And I've always wanted to get her due, and I wish UFC would invest more in her. What she's doing now, she's been fighting for 10 years, and she's always wanted this division, and it's finally there. And now it's almost like self-sabotage, because she thinks the entire world's out to get her. It's like, hold up. She's going, I wish I fought for a boss who liked me, and that's a whole nother issue. He said she looks like Wanderlei Silva.
Funny because it's like a mirror to me. It's like she's making the same mistakes that I made, and it's like it makes me scratch my head and going, gosh, man, please stop. Please learn from what the things I did.
Mm-hmm.
I made some bad mistakes in my career against the UFC, and I wish I never would have done a lot of the things. But it was just my heart, the way I thought at the time. But she's in a total different world,
she's also not that young.
And, 30 years old. She's a monster.
She's been fighting for a while.
Yeah, she's been fighting for a long time. But like I say, man, none of these girls can even touch Chris. None of these girls they're not even on the same level. And she doesn't understand that. If anybody's ever told her that that's a dangerous fight, don't fight that person's a complete liar.
She could probably beat up every girl at 140, 145, whatever you want, in the same night. If they want to go old school, they could just rotate through them.
Yes.
And she would destroy everyone.
Yes.
She's that good. I agree with you there.
Yes.
How much better would it be for her, especially in the long run of things, if she just tweeted out when that happened, ladies, I can't make this wait to March. Enjoy the belt while you can, because as soon as I'm back, I'm wrecking everybody. And Ronda, you in 135, I'm gonna be whatever you want to do. Come up and play with the big girls.
Yes.
And you have the biggest fights, biggest fights. And now when she comes back, you're fighting for a belt. There's no interim belt, nothing like that. You're fighting Holly, who I think is gonna win. You're probably fighting Holly. And it's a huge fight. It's all good in her boat. Yeah, but don't throw freaking fire, man. Just chill.
No reason to throw gas on the fire at all. I just I don't know. I literally I had to turn my phone off at the time. I couldn't understand the texts I was getting from her. I felt hurt. I felt like I got stabbed in the back. It was like I worked so hard to get to this point. her manager, actually George Prazian from Primetime 360, has worked so hard and has given so much to the woman, and has worked so hard with the UFC, with Sean Shelby and with Dana to try to make the fights happen.
Been some work.
And Chris has asked for everything, and they almost gave everything. And you know, it's just, as a fighter, people don't understand what fighters go through mentally. I think they don't really understand. They expect us to be on our A game 24/7, 365 and a quarter days a year. Putting that leap year in there.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
But it's not that easy, man. This job's tough. This job's hard. This job's demanding. 6 days a week, 3 times a day, 4 times a day of training. I mean, this is a full-time job. Eating the right things, and not even that, just the mental side of it, of having to get up and do this again and
roller
again.
Coaster. How tough is it for you? Back to you. How tough is it for you to get up every morning? Because that's probably the worst part when you're going through camp. What you guys are 4 weeks out? 3 weeks?
4 weeks
January
out.
21st, correct?
4 weeks this Saturday.
4 weeks, so 3 weeks of training, really?
Yep.
I mean, this is where it's the thick of things.
Yep.
You're not a young chicken.
No.
You've been doing it for a while. It's tough to get up and get motivated, especially a guy with your success.
You know, and then that's one of the things too. A lot of the fighters, they're fighting for money. I'm not fighting for money anymore, man. I think right now I'm fighting for redemption. This fight to me is for redemption. That's why I get up and I do it. I love it. It's like I'm able to get up. I'm able to perform. I'm able to get up and we're doing 5 or 6 5-minute rounds. 6 5-minute rounds. This is only a 3 5-minute round. And I'm able to do this. I mean, in wrestling, we're putting in hard wrestling, hard grinding. I'm defending doubles after doubles. I mean, that's why I got a cut on my head. I was defending a double, and Rafael headbutted me, and I looked at it, put a gauze on it, taped it up, and we finished the practice. I went and got stitches. Next day, went and hit mitts, got my 16-mile bike ride in, did my work, got to take Saturday, Sunday off. Started work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today's Thursday. It's like I didn't miss a beat after having 6 stitches in my head. Didn't miss a beat. I'm fine. If it's under 10 stitches, I'm cool. Anything over 10 stitches,
Like it's a little tricky.
well, it's not the tricky. That means you took a huge impact,
Yeah,
and
good.
you have a concussion. I know, and this goes back to UFC. I was supposed to fight who was it, Nogueira, and I got 22 stitches in my forehead. And I called Dana. It was the worst thing in the world. I called Dana and I said, I just got 22 stitches in my head. I'm not fighting. He goes, what do you mean? Don't be a pussy. All the guys in the Ultimate Fighter, they fight when they get stitches. I'm like, dude, I have 22 stitches in my head and I cannot hold down a meal. He's like, stop being a pussy. And then all of a sudden I got called a pussy because I couldn't fight after having 22 stitches in my head. So all the listeners, yeah, I don't fight unless it's under 10 stitches.
Well, but that's smart too. That's just being a businessman.
Yeah,
too.
it's big.
Because you do have to be there. There's also what makes you a fighter, and people hate this. Well, fighters fight. I get that, but you can't be stupid. You do have to be somewhat of a businessman because you are the CEO of your company, which is in your case the Tito Ortiz business, where I have a concussion. I have 22 stitches. If I go out there, I'm not the same. It increases my chance of losing, which will affect my career down the road. I'm out, man. Live to fight another day.
And here's you're talking about the Bader fight. This is great. This was before the Bader fight. So 3 months later, he goes, well, okay, you're fighting Ryan Bader then. At the time, Ryan Bader was 4th in the world.
Tough
and I was
guy.
like, okay, that went really bad. It went south quick. Okay,
against the wall.
All right, here we go. Back against the wall. Let's do this. And I pulled it off. It's crazy how my life turns out, man. It's just crazy how everything turns out, and I believe everything happens for a reason. You know, I've been challenged through my life, and sometimes I've aced it, and sometimes I failed, but I've got back up on the horse and continue to do it. And at the end of the day, it's truthfully about my children, man. I want to give my kids everything I never had as a kid, and I think that's what continues myself to work as hard as I do.
Do you want them to fight?
That's a hard one.
Because I see him. It's really.
So
I have a 9-month-old.
Yeah,
I have a 9-month-old.
So my son
fight.
Jacob is 13 and
stud wrestler, correct?
Stud wrestler.
I see him on Instagram.
He's won a few tournaments. He's taken 3rd a few tournaments, taken 4th, but he's competing every week. He's actually weighing in today.
You guys look identical, so there's a good chance.
He doesn't look identical. That he has blue eyes. So
still, man, you guys look.
But his body
out of a lineup, you're like, okay, that's
his
Tito
body.
Ortiz
Yeah,
kid.
his body for sure.
Yeah.
But our agreement, he says, Dad, I want to fight. I said, okay, now what's our agreement, son? He goes, okay, I have to get my master's degree first. I go, exactly. So he has to get his master's degree.
That's a good deal.
He wants to go to Stanford University. He wants to wrestle for Stanford. He wants to get his master's degree. And I go, what do you want to get your master's degree in? Now, this is all on his own. He does this all on his own because he lives with his mom in Arizona. So he does this all on his own. He goes, I'm going to get my master in business. I go, really? He goes, yeah, so I could take over your business, Dad, when you're
Boom. I told you, he's just like you, man.
My kid's 14 years old, man. So I'm like,
has some plans.
And this is, I mean, I hope there's parents listening to this right now because you got to instill greatness in your child at a young age.
Meaning?
As they get older, they understand what to expect in life.
What do you mean by that?
You know,
because you can't have a cocky kid, right?
You know, not a cocky kid. It's a hardworking individual in life that's willing to do it the right way. Not willing to step on somebody to get ahead and willing to reach down to help others up as they go up. But if those ones that are you reach down to come up as you come up, let go if they're pulling you down. And that's humanity. That's just respectful. That's just the right thing to do. But through hard work and dedication that I've learned through wrestling, wrestlers, man, that's just the way of life is hard work and dedication.
I was going to say, he's going to get a lot of life lessons through wrestling. Sports in general, for me, it was football. A lot of people, it's wrestling. I mean, you really find out what you're about on a lot of those matches.
And now it's funny, too, because I have my twin boys, Jesse and Journey, and I got them to take a picture for the first time ever, them flexing. And they're shredded.
They are shredded. And I see him like doing pull-ups and stuff and sit-ups before bed. Yep, so I have my 9-year-old, like I'm pulling his little hands with sit-ups.
So 7 days a week, they do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. And just this week, we started doing 25 pull-ups because it used to be 20. It was 20 for the last 8 months. So now it's 25 pull-ups.
And that's their idea or yours?
It has been my idea from the very beginning. But actually, for the first time last night, they were doing everything perfect because I go, guys, flex for me. And they flex and they shred it. And you can see their 8-pack and their shoulders and their chest muscles.
So cute.
And they seen it. They were like, Dad, text that to Jacob. Text that to Jacob, which is their older brother. Oh, text that to Jacob. Text to Jacob. Text that to Uncle Freddie. Text that to Uncle Freddie. Text that to George. Text that to George.
That's awesome.
And I did. And they're like, text it to Grandma. So I'm texting, my family and stuff. And they're just... It motivated them.
How old are they?
7 years old.
And do they express any interest in fighting?
Journey wants to. Jesse says Jesse wants to be a doctor. He says so. He's a little bit the smarter one. Journey is more of the thug and mug kid, and he's the one that's all neck and shoulders and back and legs. I mean, he's a monster. But once again, our agreement is they got to get their master's degree.
That's fair.
I've been able to put away some money through my fight career for all 3 of my boys' education, so they can pick whatever college they want to in the world, and it's paid for. So
because and people ask me all the time, are you gonna let your son fight? I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna encourage it. Wrestling, 100%. There's life lessons you're always gonna learn through wrestling or sports that you can't get anywhere else.
No.
But and you know this better than anyone, how hard it is to actually make a name for yourself in this business. The odds of you not getting to the UFC, that's whatever. Making it to the UFC, not a big deal. It's really not. Granted, you're a professional athlete, and it's great and dandy. You did some regional shows, and you made it there. That's fine. There's some people left and right. But to be an actual star and make a living where you can walk away at the end of the day with money in the bank and without head trauma, I would say it's tougher to do that than to make it in Hollywood.
There's a good 3%, maybe even 2%.
I'd say less than that, brother.
Yeah, you think?
Think of all the guys.
Yeah.
But now
there's only like 4 or 5 of us. Not even 4 or 5. There's only like 3 or 4 of us.
Think about all the guys, and think about the guys with no money, brain trauma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. I've been lucky so far, man. Hasn't really got that much brain trauma. I think because I have such a big head. Yes, you guys, I do have a big head, and that's like that's one of the oldest jokes that could be. That's older than dirt. Shit. It is what it is. I watch a lot of the other fighters that have taken their trauma, from head blows, and I couldn't imagine it. I
was watching that. Well, shoot, in Bellator when Michael Venom Page kneed Cyborg in the head,
my God,
I was like, if anyone is on the fence about fighting. Watch that.
Yeah, watch that. Yeah. If you say you want to be a fighter, well, watch that one and make you think twice.
Like when Page killed a guy.
Oh, my
damn
God.
Near.
I mean, this job isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
It's true. That'll do it, man.
But you learn a lot of life lessons through it, man.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for everything I've had. I'm thankful for the UFC, what it's done. I'm thankful for Lorenzo and Dana for what they've done. I'm thankful for Scott Coker. I'm thankful for Bellator giving me the opportunities I've had to leave this sport in a happy manner. Leave the sport and be respected the way that I not really expected it, but I think the fans expect it. And I'm very thankful for that.
So before we get you out of here, we'll end on this. In a perfect world, January 21st, you beat Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz style, vicious ground and pound, elbows. You do your whole thing. What's next?
Ah, man.
Because you got to stay busy. You know, I don't see you like. Obviously, you're gonna be.
I'm gonna do some type of shows, man. Some type of shows. I want to be in the film industry, man. I really.
What type of shows?
I don't know, man. I'm a big fisherman. Maybe some type of fishing show. I mean, that's maybe a little side thing. I don't know. I continue my acting classes. I just gotta get an opportunity. I get an opportunity. Someone give me an opportunity. I just want one good opportunity to, expose my true hard work.
You want to do like straight acting roles, or you want like a TV show?
You know
what I'm saying, like a host or something like that.
Yeah, if I did do a host, it would be a fishing show, fishing with Tito around the world, going around and find the most exotic fish, and teaching
show
and teaching people, how to fish in that area.
I feel like
Viacom
might be able to help with that.
Yeah, I know.
Fishing with Tito
around the world would be great.
Is it legit fisher? Really?
I'm a better fisherman than I am a fighter. 100%.
Dude, I'd love to go, man.
Dude, I was fishing with TJ out on the hot tuna. Everybody was a fan of wicked tuna. I was fishing with TJ, and I ended up getting a 450-pound bluefin.
I saw the picture. I'm like, where is?
I got that in 45 minutes in Maine, in Gloucester.
Damn,
dude, and we're out for 2 days. It was the best thing. I mean, the best feeling in the world. I mean, I can't. I mean, almost as good as winning a fight.
You love it,
dude. I love it. My happiness is being on the ocean. I love it, man. There's not a better serenity than being on the ocean for me.
Love personally. It, man. Well, hopefully your plan works. You beat Chael Sonnen, January 21st at the Forum, Los Angeles on Spike TV. Free, mind you, live and free on Spike.
That was another thing too. That's why I came to Bellator, man, because all my fights are free. Now that people don't have to pay for it, so all my fans get to watch for free, and it's great.
Yeah, that's huge. Huge.
That's the deal. So on January 21st, live at the Forum, people watch. We stomp Chael Sonnen.
I'll be there. I think I'm going to be there. Yeah, I think I talked to Scott. I will be there. Good luck to you, brother. Yeah, I know you're training your ass off.
Yeah, no.
Always rooting for you, man.
Thank you.
Always in your
I was watching you train, man. Hitting mitts. You're fast, dude.
Yeah, I try to keep up with it just in case.
Yeah, you never know. Bellator be using a light heavyweight, right?
Yeah, right? We'll see, man. We'll see. You go. All right, guys.